You going to a meeting this evening at Lonely Baptist Church? On all these, I asked get yours now and catch up to what everybody's been asked Dave, how he felt about the three of us meeting with James one day before after the show, bring him over here at the Iron Fire, the guy from the Ford NGL. Dave was kind of reluctant, but I think I told him we could team. And we probably
I'll just observe. I'll be like, I'll mean mugging the whole meeting.
Because, they've got some kind of community meeting or something on September 11th, and then the 22nd is that convention thing. So I'm wondering if next week, either Tuesday or Thursday, after Black Focus, that maybe we can, have them come over and meet with them.
That's cool, man. Yeah, better.
Does any day work better? Because I'll send
as long as it's not a Friday.
Well, I'll send them a group email with, I'll respond to the email that you sent to the three of us. What day works better?
As long as it's not a Friday.
I said Tuesday or Thursday, old man. What's wrong with you hearing?
Well, you said what day works better. So pick a day. I'm R&B down, baby.
So we're just gonna talk to him about the NGL thing. Just pick his brain.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law. I want to help you. I can be reached at 501, 503,
So that's September 3rd, Tuesday.
Don't pay for legal issues.
Now, what day are we supposed to be going to Nashville?
22nd.
22nd.
He really interested in getting into your meeting.
I know.
Yeah, because one of the comments he made in the email was about, Nashville, your experience in Nashville, or whatever. So I think he's kind of feeling a little pressure that he may need to convince you that it's a good thing. I really think that's a good thing.
That means I got more clout than y'all. Don't y'all forget that, dog.
I agree. You do. Yeah.
I think they've been listening to the show and
That's what he said.
and know that this show is the voice of this community
He sent me
and
an
growing.
individual email also.
Really?
He sent me the
I think the one got the juice shit.
No, he sent me an individual email first, and then he sent us a group email.
Okay.
Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices.
Yeah, he sent me that email first individual. I was listening to the radio show last week, and maybe the week before, he was talking about NGL, blah, blah, blah. And then he turned around and sent us a group email.
Our solutions, using our voices.
I guess he thought about it. 8:07, he sent me one, and 8:13, he decided to talk to all of us.
Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines up at 855-555-683.
There's something a little pressure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, they're feeling some pressure.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the show. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. We do it every day right here on joynetradio.com, noon to 2 p.m. You can call us up and participate in the show. Robert doesn't bite, neither does Roselle. Although we only let him out of his cage for our show every now and then. We got to keep him under wraps. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Where do I start? But we'll before we do that, and of course we got to do Black Facts. Let's go ahead and welcome in our good buddy, our main man, the man with the plan, the man who has abandoned the activism for capitalism. Robert Webb.
What's up, dog? All about the greenbacks, player.
He was proud to jump in on that. Y'all see how quickly? I ain't never heard him with that much resonance and, what's up, dog? Yeah, I hear you, dog. I hear you. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I hear you.
Just a small shift, my brother. Just a small shift.
Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, of course. I got a whole list of things. Just to give you an idea, and I'll read the tease to you real fast, but we've got a lot of other stuff also. Something Joe and I agree on. Biden says racism is a white man's problem. What have I been saying on this show? Don't answer that. We'll get to it in a moment. Okay? I love it when white people tell me I'm right. Okay? Anyway,
You need white confirmation?
16% is a huge number when it comes to Arkansas, and it's not good.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Yeah. Kids who have problems in prison.
You're just a smart ass today.
But that's old, though. That's old.
Yeah, I wonder how bad it is now. Is there a link between bad health and in the black community and the church?
God killing people.
Or maybe what you eat in church is killing people. Maybe Sister Sarah put a little bit more sodium in them greens than need to be. We'll talk about that a little bit today. And of course, maybe the world is really going to hell in a handbasket. I'm just along for the ride. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I hope you all will stick and stay. Please, by all means, go out and... and by the way, I definitely want to talk about Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe is apologizing because she said black people giving more support to Popeyes than to black businesses. And black people got upset with her. Also,
Remind me who Janelle Monáe is again?
see, that's mean. She's a cutie though, man. But anyway, she was a Prince protege. Conservative commentator Steve Gill's wife says, "I'm terrified." Now, Steve Gill doesn't mean anything to you guys, but he means a lot to the people who live in Nashville and find it interesting that he was arrested for back child support. You know how them conservatives are. They so pro-family, pro-love, all this other stuff. But, and I remember when I was fighting for fathers' rights in Nashville and wanted to get on Steve Gill's show to talk about that particular issue. And Mr. Gill wouldn't have us on his show. Now here he is. How much money do you think this man is behind in child support? I know y'all don't know him, but take a guess. He's a syndicated talk show based in Nashville, Tennessee. A conservative talk guy. Off the top of your head, how much money y'all think he owing back child
Let me
support?
see, white. And in the media, about $1 million. They'll let him get way.
He's white. It ain't $1 million.
I know they'll let him get way behind.
$170,000.
And they hit us at 8.
And now check this out.
8,000.
He's been on the air in Nashville at least 20 years. So it ain't like you couldn't find it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Everybody in Nashville know who the hell Steve Gill is because he's a heel. I'm just going to be honest with you. A conservative heel. A rundown conservative heel. So it ain't like you couldn't find Steve Gill. And now his new wife is coming out and saying that he's been threatening her and blocking her from getting out of the shower and saying if he knows so many people that if she ever leaves him, that he's going to get revenge. So she's scared to death, so she just filed a restraining order against him. So, and I'm just bringing this up because we're seeing this too much, and we'll do Black Facts in just a moment. But we're seeing this all too often where these so-called icons of conservatism who want to tell you how to live your life, but their lives is a comedy store and porn store behind the scenes.
I'm cool with the porn store.
No, okay.
I don't know how much rock behind it.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Porn.
Too much.
I'm just saying. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. You know what I'm saying? I just really did. But anyway, that's among other things we'll talk about today. But right now, let's do some Black Facts. You know, it really bothers me when someone tells me or suggests that I need to go back to where I came from. Considering the fact you've heard me talk about Benjamin Banneker and how he helped build, in fact, if not for him, Washington, D.C., as we know it today, would not look the way it does. We know about the slaves who built the first White House and the Capitol. We know about all the things that black people put into this country in order for this country to be where it is today. Yet, they still don't get it. And unfortunately, some of you all don't get it as well. So this month marks 400 years since enslaved Africans were first brought to what is now the United States of America. Slavery was officially abolished in 1865, but historians say the legacy of slavery cannot be untangled from its economic impact. Now, this piece is entitled, well, before I say that, this piece will be prima facie evidence exhibit triple double X, because I put so many exhibits out there. Let me take that back. Triple double Z, because I don't want Robert thinking double X, triple something. Okay. About reparations. So this story is entitled The Hidden Links Between Slavery and Wall Street. See, many of you all don't even realize that at one point, to make Central Park, a lot of those people that were ran off of that land were black. On a hot day, 25 people are gathered around a small commemorative sign in New York's financial district. Their tour guide explains that this is the site of one of U.S. largest slave markets. Just 2 streets away from the current site of the New York Stock Exchange, men, women, and children were bought and sold. This is not black history, says Damaris Obi, who leads the tour. This is not New York or American history. This is world history. It is also economic history. Stacy Toussaint, the boss of Inside Out Tours, which runs the New York Slavery and Underground Railroad Tour, says people are often surprised by how important slavery was to New York City. They don't realize that enslaved people built the wall after which Wall Street was named. By some estimates, New York received 40% of U.S. cotton revenue through money and its financial firms, shipping businesses, and insurance companies. But scholars differ on how direct a line can be drawn between slavery and modern economic practices in the U.S. People in non-slave areas, Britain and free U.S. states, routinely did business with slave owners and slave commerce, says Gavin Wright, professor emeritus in economic history at Stanford University. But he says the uniqueness of slavery's economic contribution has been exaggerated by some. Slavery thrived under colonial rule. British and Dutch settlers relied on enslaved people to help establish farms and build the new towns and cities that would eventually become the United States. Enslaved people were brought to work on cotton, sugar, tobacco plantations. The crops they grew were sent to Europe or to northern colonies to be turned into finished products. Those finished goods were used to fund trips to Africa to obtain more slaves, who were then trafficked back to America. This triangular trading route was profitable for investors. To raise the money to start many future plantations, owners turned to capital markets in London, selling debt that was used to purchase boats, goods, and eventually people. In the late 19th century, U.S. banks in southern states would sell securities that helped fund the expansion of slave-run plantations. To balance the risk that came with forcibly bringing humans from Africa to America, insurance companies were purchased. These policies protected against the risk of boat sinkings and the risk of losing individual slaves once they made it to America. Some of the largest insurance firms in the U.S., listen, New York Life, AIG, and Aetna sold policies that ensured slave owners would be compensated if the slaves they owned were injured or killed. By the mid-19th century, exports of raw cotton accounted for more than half of U.S. overseas export shipments. What wasn't sold abroad was sent to mills in northern states, including Massachusetts, Rhode Island, to be turned into fabric. The money southern plantation owners earned couldn't be kept under mattresses or behind floorboards. American banks accepted their deposits and counted enslaved people as assets when assessing a person's wealth. In other words, man, you might got $25, but how many niggas do you got? I digress. In recent years, U.S. banks have made public apologies for their role they played in slavery. In 2005, J.P. Morgan Chase, currently the biggest bank in the U.S., admitted that two of its subsidiaries, Citizens Bank and Canal Bank in Louisiana, accepted enslaved people as collateral for loans. If plantation owners defaulted on loan payments, the bank overtook their slaves. J.P. Morgan was not alone. The predecessors that made up Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo are among a list of well-known U.S. financial firms that benefited from the slave trade. Slavery was an overwhelmingly important fact of the American economy, explained Stephen Beckert, a law professor of American history at Harvard. Beckert points out that white cities like Boston never played a large role in the slave trade. They benefited from the connections to the slave-driven economies. New England merchants made money selling timber and ice to the South and the Caribbean. In turn, northern merchants bought raw cotton and sugar. New England's fabric mills played a key role in the U.S. Industrial Revolution, but their supply of cotton came from slave-reliant states. Brands like Brooks Brothers. You got a Brooks Brothers suit?
I do.
You might need to get rid of it. The oldest men's clothier in the U.S. turned Southern cotton into high-end fashion. Domino Sugar, once the largest sugar refiner in the U.S., processed slave-grown sugarcane. America's railroads also benefited from money earned through slave businesses. In the South, trains were built specifically to move agricultural goods farmed by enslaved people, and slaves were also used as labor to build the lines. Some scholars even argue that the use of slavery shaped modern accounting. Historian Caitlin Rosenthal points to enslavers who depreciated or lowered the recorded value of slaves over time as a way to keep track of cost. In the century and a half since slavery was abolished in the U.S., laws that prevented former slaves and their descendants from full engagement in the U.S. economy have shaped this country. Following the country's Civil War, efforts to pay reparations to newly freed slaves were squashed. President Andrew Johnson, who took over after Abraham Lincoln's assassination, did not want to alienate white Southerners during the period of Reconstruction. A series of laws that economically and politically disenfranchised formerly enslaved people led to many of today's inequities, according to historians. New efforts to find ways to pay reparations are finding traction in the 2020 race for president. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, a candidate for the Democratic nomination, has proposed a bill to set up a committee that would consider how reparations might be paid. Many Democratic candidates say they support the idea of exploring proposals There are a few specific proposals, though, and polls show that a majority of Americans don't support the idea. I'm sure you don't, white people. Just 50 meters from the sign marking the city's slave market, New York's stock exchange was formed. While politicians differ on how to address America's legacy of slavery, historians agree that the proximity of the two markets is at least an indication of the connection between its economic legacy and its legacy of slavery. And boys and girls, if that story right there doesn't prove the point about reparations, then I don't know what the hell else will. And that's our Black Facts for today. And don't forget, if you would like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, call me up at 615-554-0568 and we'll hook you up. Also, if you want to sponsor the Little Rock Central upcoming football game, we have some spots available for advertising. Give me a call at that same number as well. What do you think about that Black Fact, man?
It was cool, man. Again, I've heard that before. None of it's surprising to me. Yeah. You just make good business sense, man, to insure slaves. It made good business sense to do the things that they did. They just made good business sense. But what I find ironic is you would insure them when they were slaves, but you won't insure them now that they're free. It's kind of that's some serious irony there, bro.
That's something.
That's some serious irony.
Yeah, the other thing that's not mentioned in that story is the fact of how Ivy League schools also benefited from slavery.
You should
as
read the
well.
book Ebony and Ivory, man. It was
Right.
deep, man. Talking about how slaves, how they used, not only they used slaves to build the facilities, but they also traded slaves and sold slaves back and forth
Yes,
to
they
fund
did.
the project.
Yes, they did.
So, a couple of schools, Georgetown, I think it is, and somebody else was saying they were going to give admission preference, I think.
Well, Georgetown is actually offering free tuition for any descendant of slaves that can be traced to their property, to their sale and trading of human beings.
So, again, if you can afford to pay the money to find out, then you can get it done.
Right.
But
Well, I don't know. Seems like there's something set up for Georgetown people who were descendants of slaves there to do the research, and they are paying them. They are at least paying for their tuition, their legacies to go to school free. So that means that your grandparent,
that's
your grandchild.
because you still got to figure out if you have some kind of connection.
Right, but here's the other
It
thing.
has a monetary signature with it.
Well,
You
here's
just ain't like you just walk in and say, "Hey, yo."
well, that's true. But here's the other thing.
Uncle Bubo was over here.
Georgetown, that's not costing Georgetown any money.
What, you mean to put the whole process together?
No, as far as, let's say you show up and Georgetown says, hey, you got a scholarship. Because that's basically what it is. All they're doing is shuffling paper around from desk to desk. That's not
no.
real money.
Right, well,
you understand what
right.
I'm saying?
What I'm
So
talking
they're
about-
coming out on top by saying, hey, we'll give you free education as long as we don't have to pay anything. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right, but the point is that to get the free education, I also have to prove my lineage. I cannot prove my lineage just by walking up and then saying, I'm
Yeah, but I'm saying they've set up a committee. If I remember when I originally read that story, they've set up a committee that if you believe that you can go to this committee and they'll do the research for you.
Now the question becomes, do you trust that?
Well, the few people that have gotten an award, they went through that committee. So I'm just saying. Well, but I understand your reticence as well. So
You gotta be able to prove your lineage. And if they prove your lineage, it's easy for them to come and say, you know what, well, I appreciate you, man, but yeah, none of your folks came over this way. Thank you, though.
But see, this is my point about reparations. This article makes a tangential approach in addressing reparations. Now this article.
Wait a minute. No. Okay, let me make sure I want to make this very clear. Okay? offering me something free, I don't give a damn if it is education, is no way repaying me or repaying my ancestors for their contribution to this country.
We're talking about two different things. I agree with you on that. I agree with that. I'm just simply saying.
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah, because you should have had enough. My knuckles are bleeding already.
I know.
But this article is tangential in nature as it relates to pointing out the web of how slavery, when someone tries to come out and say, well, it didn't, it just runs the gamut. I'm sitting as I read about the auction place on Wall Street. I'm thinking about the auction place right there on Auction Avenue in Memphis, right there by the pyramid.
Yeah.
You know, so everywhere you go, slavery benefited America. And there is, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it till I die. There is no justification why descendants of the slave trade are not getting reparations. And if you're black and you're not talking about reparations, do yourself a favor, go out to my wall and read this article. It is entitled, "The Hidden Links Between Slavery and Wall Street." It gave you banks, it gave you insurance companies. You know, we just talked about how the Ivy League benefit. Every aspect, every company benefited from free labor in America. And now you're saying, well, you know, dog, I'm sorry. No, you're not even saying that. We need to wake up. So that's our Black Fact for today. 855-525-5683 is the number. I got a whole lot of stuff to talk about today. Let me ask you something, Robert. If someone said, hey, look, I'm going to give you some land if you move to this particular country, would you do it?
Huh?
If someone said, I'm going to give you land if you move to a particular country, would you do it?
Why would I move away? This is my home. I don't know Africa. I don't know Negro.
I'm not talking about Africa.
What country am I moving to then?
Would you just answer the question? I'll get to that. This is called a tease.
Hell no. Anything else you need me to say? Player? I ain't moving. I'm a black American. I ain't no damn African American. I'm a black American. I ain't never been to Africa. I want to go, but I ain't never been. Why the hell would I be calling myself an African?
Well,
Not your ancestors African. You don't hear white people saying I'm a Spaniard American or
because they can't really be Spaniard.
American.
They can't really be Spaniard, and they don't really want to admit to being Australian because most of them were prisoners.
I'm a Polish American. Why I gotta be an African American? Hell with y'all. I'm a black American. Next. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
See, I'm trying to conduct a good show with content, and
Did you get this email today?
you just shoot it down. What email?
This email from Grassroots.
I haven't checked my emails lately. I'm doing a radio show. Okay, but anyway.
Smart. Smart.
Well, I am. But the reason I asked the question is that the right of abode law is a law that is in Ghana. And it's Ghana Bill 573. And what it basically allows you to do, and I'll just read the title of the article, Ghana gives free land to descendants of slaves to repatriate. It's called the right of abode law.
Okay, so we move on to something else, or we gonna keep talking about this?
You don't like Africa, do you?
I ain't got nothing against Africa. I ain't never been there. Why would I?
I just thought that was a neat little story. I thought we'd get
This
a
is
little
interesting,
conversation.
Dave. I want to read this real quick.
You know,
I want to read this real quick, and I want to get your
do you
opinion.
mind if I finish my head?
No, Dave, hold on, Dave. I want to read this to you real quick. I want you to tell me. I want you to give me your opinion of this whole thing. No, seriously, Dave. Wait. So, Grassroots Arkansas is having a public meeting today.
I don't know who Grassroots Arkansas is.
That's the thing that hold on, let me see. It says Southwest. Oh, this is for the school district stuff. Southwest meeting and the people's demands. We're ready for public education and demand an end to state control of Little Rock School District as the Arkansas State Board of Education public meeting. Right? These are the things we demand. Immediate return of entire Little Rock School District, local Democratic Board elections November 2019, or reinstatement of last elected board, and MOA that the SBE and the ADE will commit to doing the LRSD no more harm, reopening of our neighborhood public schools they closed, nullification of the current blueprint, immediate establishment of a Little Rock Teachers Union and Parent Union, full accounting of all LRSD financials during state control of LRSD, constructors trust with method for LRSD to recoup funds from the state, same standard for private schools and charter schools as for public schools, higher qualifications for board members, both state and local district, including requirements that some board members be certified educators, evidence-driven programs and solutions in all LRSD schools. Examples include the Early Childhood Development Program at Rockefeller Elementary and the School-Based Health Program at Stevens Elementary. Make public input more accessible for parents and others responsible for children by providing child care at public meetings.
And your point.
What you think?
What do I think about what you just read?
Yeah.
I don't have a comment.
Is that good or bad?
We talked about this yesterday.
Is it good or bad?
It's moot.
You were insistent. It's moot.
It is.
Nothing to say about that.
I just told you, the governor has already told you people to do what? What did I say?
Go to hell.
To kiss his ass. Okay? So you can demand all you want. Your same old tactics. We talked about this in depth yesterday. There ain't nothing changing.
Well, I will tell you this. You got 11 demands. And I'm trying to find one about to do the cheating. Did you hear
Again.
one? Did I miss it?
No, I didn't hear one, but again, when you got to about number 2, my eyes rolled back in my head and I was examining the bottom of my brain.
Okay.
Because, again,
Dave, you can't be indifferent to the plight of Little Rock.
I'm not indifferent. I'm simply saying that I'm tired of blooding my head on that wall. Okay?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You see what I'm saying? So I got to figure out another way to get around or over or under that wall. Okay?
That's a good
What you're doing now ain't working. Because the governor has said what?
Yeah. All right,
What is he saying?
We ain't gonna ride this horse again. But I
The
think
governor has said what?
But I think it's important.
The governor has said what?
Kiss his ass.
There you go.
I don't think he's actually said that per se.
Well, you know what? Someone doesn't have to tell you to kiss their ass for you to know that he's telling you to kiss his ass.
But Dave,
Right?
you still got to go through the action steps, man. And you still ignore me when I say that. But that's cool.
Well, I'm just saying this argument is over. It's a matter of what they're going to do, they being the governor, what they're going to do next. No matter how many meetings you have, look, at what point in any of this process has the governor even met with anybody that's on the side to get the schools back? Even if it's not this group. At what point have we seen where the governor has met with any other bodies? He hasn't. The governor has said what?
Okay.
The governor has said what?
Okay, Dave, I know you said he said kiss ass.
There you go.
But wait, I mean, isn't there like there is a process you go through. And like I said, I don't know if the process has been followed. And the great thing about this is by you and I being on the outside, we have a unique perspective because while we have skin in the game, we don't have skin in the game to that degree. Whereas, what I mean by that is we can look at this thing objectively. And people who are in this, who are in the struggle right now, I don't know if they're looking at it objectively. I don't know. Because
I know the governor isn't.
I want to, but again, with all the things that's on his plate, I think this would be something he would hand off to Johnny Key and the state board.
Okay. All right. Let's start right there. At what point in this process has Johnny
Now you're
Key
gonna try to flip it back on me. What I ask you,
or the
yesterday.
state board
You're dirty dude.
has ever met with these people and said, hey, here's what you all need to do? At what point? They haven't. So the governor has said what? I mean, I don't mean to be crass about this,
But I don't think he's actually said that.
but I'm just saying, if he really wanted to return Little Rock to state control, wouldn't he be meeting with somebody in Little Rock to say, hey, here's what we want to get done? Right now, we don't have any idea what the governor's intention is. None whatsoever. He's not giving us a roadmap. Forget about what the other people have done. I'm talking about the governor. Like I said, if you borrow my car and you wreck my car, don't you have to tell me how you're gonna get it fixed?
Yeah, but I don't think you. I just believe that you start at one level and you slowly work your way up. I believe by the time you get to the governor, you've exhausted all options all the way through. I haven't been as intimately involved in this process, so I can't say that they've done that. But my thing is, you couldn't have done that if here you are still 4 years later asking the question, what can we do to get our district back?
I understand that, but you took my district. You, the governor.
But
So
hold on, Dave, you can't do that because I see what you're trying to do.
No.
Yeah, you're trying to put everything back.
No,
on state
I'm not
government.
simply
And
no.
I'm not disagreeing
I'm
with
not
you
saying
wholeheartedly.
that. But if you come in and you take my district, then it is incumbent upon you to put forth some type of guidelines on how I get my district back. I don't care what the activist is doing. If you put forth the guidelines, then you are on solid footing that say, okay, when we meet this guidepost, then you get this. When we meet this guidepost, you get that. He has done none of that. None of it. That's what I'm saying. So whomever is fighting for these activists or whatever you want to call it, they don't know where to go. They're bouncing from pillar to post because there have been no guidelines at all.
Let me give you a better example. In 2008, late 2008, the city was having financial problems, so they closed the alert center on Wright Avenue, right? They closed the alert center. Now they said the reason they closed it was because they didn't have money and they couldn't fund the staff, right? So what they did, nobody knew it at the time, was that they took all the staff that was there and just moved them to other resource centers. The only thing they did was they just weren't using the building, right? That was it. Nothing else. They just were not using the building, okay? So after the sales tax passed, we made it a point to let them know, okay, listen, guys, y'all said the reason y'all closed this building was because you didn't have the resources, right? Well, they said, well, there were some other things too. It just wasn't the resources. Okay, well, what are the other things? They told us what the other things were. Finally, we went back to them and said, okay, this is what you told us. This is the reason you gave us for closing that facility, right? This is the reason. Blah, 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 blah. When they gave us those reasons, we showed them where, okay, this addresses this addresses this addresses this. Now, why are we still closed?
You're making my point.
But again, Dave, that's work that we did as advocates. That's work that we did, right?
But initially they said they closed that center because of staffing or whatever.
Right. It was economic.
Okay. And then you all went to them and said, oh, okay.
Well, we went out and did work first. We went out and found out. We went out and we learned what the things were that they said they couldn't open it back up.
Okay.
And we identified.
So you got a criteria,
Right. We got a criteria.
right,
Yeah.
of what you needed to reopen that center.
Exactly.
My point, you just made my point, my brother, is that there is no criteria, nowhere, no how. Let me, if
Hold on, Dave.
there's
Hold on.
no
Wait,
criteria.
Wait though. This is my point. If you come to me and you ask me 4 years later, what is the criteria? What the hell have you been doing for 4 years?
But Robert, I don't think that they've just now started asking this. I'm not. Look, if that is the
you're
case,
still asking, Dave, if you're 4 years into this thing and you still asking them, what do we have to do to get our district back? that means that you haven't been doing your work.
But see, I disagree. Well,
You
I
cannot disagree
well,
with
okay.
that. Dave.
I have to disagree with it.
cannot.
Here's why I have to disagree
Okay.
with it. I have to believe that Senator Chesterfield and Senator Elliott.
Are those conversations being held in silos? Because
Look,
they can't be held
look,
with everybody else.
Okay,
Because you got,
if you want to
heard-
criticize those two
No,
senators,
I'm not criticizing.
go right ahead.
I'm not criticizing.
But I'm
Don't
just
try to do that. You slicker than you want to criticize. No.
that was Robert Webb criticizing y'all, Senator Elliott, Senator
By the way,
Chesterfield.
Senator Chesterfield, love y'all much. Y'all know that. No, my point is, unless they're having those conversations in silos, then there has to be something somewhere you can go reference and say, okay, to get our district back, these are the 10 things that we have to meet. Right?
Okay.
Then you formulate a plan to get there. My point to you is that at 4 years, if you're still having this damn conversation, there is something truly wrong. That you have not pressed, because how can you expect to get a district back? You just gonna ask for it back? I mean, now, don't get me wrong.
I understand all of your logic.
I'm not saying that what we're doing with the protests is not positive. I think it's positive to some degree. But you don't even understand what it takes to get your district back. So how can you can't even speak to the things you've done to make sure that you are in a position to receive the district back.
You don't know what to do.
Right. And so if you don't know what to do, then you can't put a plan together to get your district back.
So if he won't talk to Senator Elliott and Senator Chesterfield,
You still talk about him. The state board took over the district, right?
Who's the
And
governor?
Hold on, Dave. Hold on. But again, I'm talking about process. The state board took over the district, and if the state board doesn't have the answer, then that answer then falls back to Johnny Key, the director of education for the state.
and I've heard that asked to Johnny Key on numerous occasions.
And if and the thing is, you can't ask once and walk away. That's a constant conversation.
Did you not hear what I said? Numerous occasions.
Yeah, but that's a constant conversation.
Okay.
Because how can you ever get it back if you don't know what it is?
So when you ask Johnny Key the first time, he doesn't give you an answer. When you ask Johnny Key the 20th time, he doesn't give you an answer.
Okay.
Okay? Now you got to start asking the governor. Okay? And I'm sure there have been people, Johnny Key has ran that, he's not on an island. He's not operating in a vacuum. I'm sure that he's echoed some of the sentiments of the people who have been asking him. And I'm sure, I have to believe that some of those Black Caucus members who are from the Little Rock area have been asking those very questions. I don't know that they have a habit, but I sincerely hope that they have.
You don't want to think that.
Okay? And the question is the governor giving them criteria? Because apparently he isn't, because I believe that
It's state law. It tells you what to do to come
well,
take over. You're taking over for academic district.
well, the criteria to give it back. So what I'm saying is that if the governor is not responding to them, the problem is not the advocates. The problem is the governor. And I don't care what you say. The problem is the governor. Period. Because I've never heard of any instance of a takeover, a repossession, or a foreclosure, or anything where you take it and then you don't have that person who the property is taken from, there's no recourse to get that property back. I've never seen that. Now, all of a sudden here, we've got a governor that's sitting high on his horse and has taken over a school district and has basically said, kiss my ass.
Okay.
And I'm going to stick to that
So that's
until, look, I understand you talking about the advocates, but I'm talking about the governor. I want the governor to say, okay, it's been 5 years. At some point, he should say, okay, it's been 2 years. It's been 4 years. It's been almost 5 years. At this point, here's what we need to do. He's still not saying anything. So just as you're asking, hey, well, are they just not asking after 4.5 years? The same thing out of the same principle should apply to the governor. At what point are you going to say, Mr. Governor, hey, here's what y'all need to do? He's not doing it either. So there's poop on both of their faces as far as I'm concerned. I'm just simply saying that the advocates now, after 4.5 years, because the governor has been recalcitrant in communicating what needs to be done, that's why I said yesterday they need to change their tactics. Because this ain't working.
Yeah.
This ain't working. Okay?
I don't disagree.
So
But-
whatever that change may be, I don't know. I'm not out on the front lines. But I'm just simply saying that whatever the tactics that you all first thought about, You thought it was gonna work. It ain't working. You need to get some people in your corner. You need to get some numbers. Because right now, the reason he's basically turning around and mooning you is because you ain't got no
It
numbers.
ain't got nothing to do with numbers. First off, you can't ask for a district back. Okay, so let's say they give it back to
If
tomorrow.
if 5,000 people show up at that Capitol wanting that district back, that's gonna make him listen. Okay? But when 20 people show up, that ain't enough to make him listen. I'm sorry.
Dave, if you take my car because my brakes are not working, if you take my car and I'm raising hell with you about giving me my car back, you say, okay, Robert, I'm tired of you raising hell. Here, come get your car. And my brake's still not done. What good is the car to me, Dave? And that's where we are right now.
We're saying the same thing.
No, we're not saying the same.
You are
You're
trying.
saying take 5,000 people down there and let's change this and let's get this district back. I'm saying let's really sit down and figure out what's broken in our district and let's come up with a way to fix it. Let's find a way to educate
Okay.
kids.
So let's take that argument. Let's take that argument. So these advocates sit down and they come up with this ingenious plan to fix the system.
To fix what's broken.
To fix what's broken.
But to fix that, you,
Okay.
you have to know what they thought was broken
Okay.
in the first place.
Okay. They come up with this ingenious plan. They go to the governor. What happens next?
Hopefully they work their plan.
You can't work the plan without him saying okay.
Well, hopefully he'll say
And if
okay.
he's not talking to you now, he's not going to talk to you any. He is in total control of this. This is not, I don't care what, look, you can come up with a plan that's going to graduate every college, every student, and they're going to go to the damn moon for college. But if the governor says, no, that ain't going to work, it ain't going to work. That's the problem, is that he has total autonomy in this situation. You see, what needed to be done is he should have been sued. The state of Arkansas should have, the Teachers Association or whomever's over this, they should have sued him. They didn't. Okay? So that allowed this thing to fester for now almost 5 years. So now you might want to try to run into the city now and sue.
But you see where we are now, right?
But you're in a mess
you see
now.
where you and I are right now? You see the conversation we're having? That's the conversation everybody else is having, right?
What is that?
And when nobody's talking about fixing the district for kids, we're talking about just getting the district back. That's what's problematic for me.
Well,
That's what's problematic.
but see, that's a different issue.
no, it's not. It's one and the same.
But see, it isn't, Robert. I understand what you're saying, but it really isn't.
Okay.
It really
tell me
isn't.
why it's not.
You see, because the ultimate goal is to have a system that serves children.
Right.
That's understood.
No, it's not understood.
It should be.
No, it's not. We live in Little Rock. You know,
Okay.
how
What
stuff
is-
go in Little Rock.
well,
if you don't lay it out, it ain't gonna get done.
Well,
you
that-
gotta lay it out.
Okay, but the ultimate goal in any school district, no matter what city or municipality that you reside in, should be to make a better school system for these kids. That's why they're trying to do this Ford NGL program. They're telling us that that's going to make it better for 9th through 12th graders. Okay, that's fine. That's understood. But in the meantime, there are other issues that are clearly been, look, the bottom line in this that nobody really want to talk about, and the elephant in the room that I'm residing in, is that this is about resegregating the Little Rock school system. That's what this is really all about. I said it a week or so ago that the school system would not be in the dire straits that it's in if white people would have never taken their kids out of the Little Rock school district. Why did they take them out? Because they didn't want their white kids going to school with the black kids. That's the bottom line. That's what this is all about. This whole thing has been a fight to regain. They looked at Little Rock Central in 1957 as a loss. The fight from that point forward has been to win back Little Rock Central. That's what this is all about. Now,
They got a little Black Central back.
Little Black Central.
They got it back.
I'm just simply saying
They carved out the
that
boundary so nobody who lives around Central can go to
can
Central.
go to Central.
They got it back.
You get that,
They
right?
own it now.
You see, but that's what I'm saying, Robert. This whole total control. Look, for the first time in the history of Little Rock, they had a black board. This school system was failing before that black board was even elected.
Yeah. Nobody south of 630 can go.
You see, they never, ever, ever took over the school board when it had a predominantly white board. Am I not correct?
No, I agree with you.
Okay, so this has to do with race. It has nothing to do with that. You won't even talk to people. You, the governor, won't even sit down with the advocates, the people that love this school district and say, hey, look, I know y'all upset, but it's been 5 years. Let me tell you what you need to do to get this school district back. Come on, he ain't getting off the hook on this. This is his problem. This is his fault. And I'm not going to blame these people out here who may not understand tactics, who may not understand politics. It's not their fault. They're doing what they think is best. The bottom line is that if you wreck my car, I just need to know when and how you're going to fix it. Okay?
As an advocate,
I'm just saying.
it is my responsibility.
You're not an advocate anymore.
Well, when I was.
No, you
Before
can't
I
claim
retired,
that. No,
before I
yeah,
retired.
no, you can't talk about being an advocate now.
It was my job to help people. And it was also my job to be in front of decision makers. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if for some reason I'm not getting a meeting with a decision maker, then that means there's something that I need to do so I can get that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, my ultimate goal is to accomplish whatever I started out to accomplish. Right? And I may have to deviate from 6 or 7 different plans till I find the one that gets me in front of the decision maker. Because ultimately, if I want to get my district back and I want to get a better district, then I have to come up with a way to get in front of the decision makers. So
What
I
if
can
the
have open
decision
mind
maker don't want to talk to you?
People, if somebody doesn't want to talk to you, they just don't want to talk to you just because they don't. There's something else there, and I have to identify what that is to alleviate it and then get a meeting with that decision
So
maker.
what you're saying is it's the advocate's fault
I'm not saying it's
that
the
the
advocate's
decision
fault.
makers
I'm not saying it's-
will not meet with them
I'm
to
not placing
discuss.
fault on anybody because as a retired advocate, I can't say that because everybody has different tactics when they do this, right? Russ's tactic is different than mine. Ian's tactic was different than mine. Anika's tactic is different than mine and different than everybody else's. Your tactic, Roselle's tactic, everybody's approach is different. Not everybody has the same approach, right? But I think at the end of the day, we want the same outcome. We want to be productive for the people that we're advocating for, right? That's what's most important to us. So that being the case, if for some reason my approach is not working, then Dave, I might have to go to your approach. Then I might have to try Roselle's approach. Then I might have to try Russ's approach. I might have to try 6 or 7 different approaches till I find the one that gets me in front of the person I need to be in front of.
I
Because
I just thought about something that this guy named, what's his
is
name?
it whoever he is.
Robert Webb used to say. What was it about? This country was not taken. It was taken by a gun. What was that guy used to say?
I don't know. I don't know who the Robert Webb guy is.
His name was Robert Webb, and I remember him talking about this country doesn't concede anything. So now he's saying concede. I'm confused. I'm just. What if they said?
What I've learned.
What if they said
Okay.
that okay, we'll talk to you,
But
we don't want Dr. Whitfield here, or Senator Elliott, or Senator Chesterfield. We don't want to talk to them. What if they said that?
that's why.
No, that's their criteria. We're trying to figure out how we can get a meeting. That's their criteria.
Okay, that's easy.
So-
That's easy then. You get other people, you sit them down, you educate them on the issues, and say, all right, go have this meeting.
All right, so who?
Because at the end of the day, it ain't about one individual.
who-
It's about the collective.
I agree, but let's say you choose 3 more people. We don't want to talk to them.
Okay, we just keep going until we find somebody we want to talk to. Why are you laughing? Listen, I've been.
These folks don't want to talk to you, dog. That's what I'm saying.
I've heard that a
They,
million
they don't
times.
want to talk to these people.
I've
They
heard
want
that
to
a million
choose
times.
your leaders. They want to determine who talks, who says. This is an old white folks ploy. Is that we gonna choose the leaders that's gonna talk to us. Okay, we just talked about the meeting that we had down at AEA about the NGL program. That guy basically said that, hey, we're okay now that we got a black guy as our chairman. This is their mentality.
Yeah, but
that is the old Southern racist mentality that I, as a black man, will not deal with. Period. This is my leader. This is the person that we designated as my leader. He's the one that's going to speak for me. If you can't speak to him, that's a you problem. Okay?
but
You're not going to tell me who my leaders are.
Hold on, Dave. So let me say this. There were meetings that I have not attended because we thought it would be best that I not be there for whatever reason, right?
Yeah, because you're a big black man.
Well, maybe
You be intimidating people.
maybe it's because of the way I went about trying to get the meeting. That we thought it might not be good for me to be there because of the way people would feel about the meeting. Okay, so I get that, right? I get that. But at the same time, Dave, it is important that the meeting happens, regardless of who's in the meeting.
Yep.
Because you can always train people up to have the meeting, right? You can always.
I don't see you training anyone better than Senator Chesterfield, Senator Elliott.
You're making assumptions that those people would not be included in the meeting, and you can't do that because you don't know if they will be.
But I'm telling you who I want in the meeting, and I don't want Dr. Whitfield, I don't want Senator Chesterfield, and I don't want Senator Elliott. Now, who in the state of Arkansas that can argue politically, socially, and economically between all three of those women?
Why would someone not want those three in the meeting?
I'm just saying.
Why would you not want?
I can control who I want in the meeting. I'm using this as an exercise. I'm saying to you is that they're trying to determine if the argument is that, oh, you said something bad about me, so I don't want you in the meeting, go get a grill. Sorry.
But again, you're making these assumptions that they're not fact based. These are assumptions. Now, I can see if you're making an assumption, I'd be like, you know what, that's a good assumption. That's a good assumption.
And that isn't.
No, it's not.
But you sit over there and has made an assumption about these advocates who
I haven't
aren't.
made, no.
Oh, yes, you have. Oh, no, nothing. Yes, you have.
Only thing I'm saying is, and I'm not making an assumption.
You just don't like those advocates. I can't believe you don't like Dr. Whitfield.
See, there you
She
go.
comes on our show. She's a nice lady. She's cute.
Jesus.
And she's eloquent. She's
I got you now.
educated.
I know how much-
I just can't believe you don't like Dr. Whitfield. God, everybody loves us a Dr. Whitfield. We even done the moniker Black Warrior Queen on this show.
Warrior Princess, yeah, you did that.
So you don't believe that, do you?
Believe what?
That she's a Black Warrior
Oh,
Princess.
Jesus. Yes, I believe she's Black Warrior Princess.
okay.
My point is that when you start to look at the trajectory of what they've been doing as far as the advocacy, that lends to a certain problem because you haven't made any progress in this thing. And again, if you're still asking 4 years later, what can we do to get our district back, then that makes me a little concerned. Because you should have already known what that was, so you could speak to the things you've done to address them. That's all I'm saying, man. Don't try to make it seem like I'm trying to put them down. You trying to make me seem like I was trying to put down.
I love y'all.
Senator Elliott and Senator Whitfield.
I love y'all.
Senator Elliott and Senator Chesterfield. Not the case.
I love y'all. Senator Elliott and
more than you
Senator
do.
Chesterfield.
I love them more than you do.
I love Dr. Whitfield. I love y'all. Love. Yes, I do. I can't say that about my co-host, and I apologize.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, we got to take the top of the hour break. We'll continue this conversation, and I want to know why y'all got Janelle Monáe apologizing because of a tweet she made about y'all eating Popeye's chicken.
Who is Janelle Monáe again?
That's,
Who is she?
I'll just.
What did she do?
I'll show you a picture of her.
I know she hot, but what did she do? Who is she?
She's cute.
Is that the girl that sang for Trump?
No, that's not her.
That's not Janelle
That's
Monáe?
Chrisette.
Chrisette Michelle.
Yeah, she's the one that still. She said she was about to commit suicide because they took up black folks took her black card, and they didn't just put it in a box. They cut it up and set it on fire. Poor thing. Back in a moment.
That's what's up.
Can I talk to you for a while?
you and said, hey, I didn't know you had a business. Yeah, that can happen when you don't advertise. I have a solution for you. Advertise on Joint Radio.
I just love the way you subtly send the message.
And you're in business. I know what you're doing.
I know what you're doing, big bro.
What? What are you talking
What
What are you talking about?
That's my dog. That's why I love these.
What are you talking about?
for your business. Now is the time.
What are you talking about?
Hey, I'm in business. Come spend
I
your
didn't think about
quality goods.
You know what I'm talking
Let's
about.
help you.
No, I don't.
Radio.com. Here's the number.
Woo.
615-55.
Oh man, I love doing this show.
We're here to assist you in building your brand.
Oh man.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's.
What are you talking about?
Oh man.
Give us a call. 664-253 or 664-2992 or call our toll-free number 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found a Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight?
I love, let's just say this way. There's nothing like a message in a bottle.
County and the surrounding area since 1966. It's Mitchell Funeral Home. Understanding that a funeral is a celebration of life, the entire staff of Mitchell Funeral Home takes great pride in
Have we heard from your girl about the sponsorship?
Oh yeah, she said make it 600 because that's all I got in that budget.
Okay.
Make it 600 send it back. So she give me a check today.
Fantastic.
Mitchell Funeral Home, Arkadelphia, 870-246-26.
I'll put a spot together for it tomorrow and send it to her.
You got it. He's Orthodox answer to your aggravation. Joy Network.
The views and
Man, I'm getting ready to change my diet.
Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station,
That's what I have for
its
breakfast.
management, or its
Spinach,
advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus
almonds,
on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Let's see what else. I put strawberries, bruised banana, because you know that's the best way to eat bananas. Mango, green beans, and raw honey. And it was on point. Fill me up, everything. So yeah, I'm getting ready to. I'm getting ready to change my diet. I need to lose about 25 pounds.
So here's your host, David W. Coleman, and Robert Webb.
And you know, I be on the go so much. I'm always eating out, and I got to just stop that. And I'm an ex-chef. All right, welcome back to the show. Robert Webb, David Coleman in the house. 855. Man, I'm about that much off of Robert's butt right now. I mean, I'm tired of him challenging me. I'm tired of him coming up with just stupid stuff. You know, I can't handle that anymore. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we'll talk more about that. This school board thing is going to be ongoing for a while, no doubt. So we'll keep that in our focus. Just a couple other quick things. Robert, for a long time, and I remember the day that your little white friends tried to chastise me when I was talking about racism in America. And I was saying that if white people wanted to get rid of racism, they could. It's them. It's their responsibility that they created it. And I know we do a great show here, but it's even greater when the world echoes something that we've discussed on the show. And you know, the world is not necessarily listening to the show that day. So here's what presidential candidate Joe Biden said. Okay, and just to set this up, you know, I've said a long time that racism is a white problem. It affects other people, particularly black people. Okay, so here's what Joe Biden said. All right, which, you know, I was like, is that Joe? He says, racism in America is an institutional white man's problem visited on people of color, according to Vice President Joe Biden. He goes on to say, white folks are the reason the reason we have, not had, we have institutional racism. There has always been racism in America. White supremacists have always existed. They still exist. He added later in his administration, it would not be tolerated. So the reason I wanted to bring that little thing up is because we've had this discussion on this show often. And people don't get what I'm saying here. Is if I create a problem, it's like we've all seen superhero movies, and that villain has created this mass weapon of destruction. And it is up to the superheroes to stop it from destroying the world. But the key is always, how do you stop it? It's kind of like when you go to the doctor, and the doctor asks you, is your mother alive? Is your father alive? Did they have diabetes? Did they have high blood pressure? In other words, he's looking at the potential symptoms that could be affecting you. And that symptom in America that is affecting and destroying America has always been and always will be racism until white people do something about it. And the vice presidential candidate, although I'm not going to vote for his ass, made a very great point. Your thoughts on that, Mr. Robert Webb?
I like the way you just chunked the ball like that.
Yeah, I was telling what's that show that used to be on PBS? You know, that news show, McLaughlin Group.
McLaughlin Group, yeah. So for me, Dave, the definition of power is to do something or act in a particular way, right? That's the definition of power, to do something and act in a particular way. So that being said, for people to take racism and say for it to work, it's got to be all white people. White people got to be the ones that fix it. I ain't comfortable with that.
And why not?
Because that impacts me. And if white people don't want to fix it, I'm screwed. So why am I going to allow them to have that kind of power? Because they have the power.
I like the way you did that. Boy, you need to run for office. I mean, that was, you know what? I know some of your little cheerleaders out there saying, oh, that's Robert Webb. Oh, you see what he said? Oh, see, that's my boy. That's my Robert. That's my Robert. See, you little smooth talking devil. See, that don't work on me.
Really?
That don't work on me.
Oh, God.
Okay?
How's that smooth talking, Dave?
Because
legit.
They have no power over me. Okay?
If you're saying that they got to fix racism that impacts me, then yeah, you're giving them power over me.
I live my life in spite of their racism.
You live your life, you live in a racist society.
Yes, I do.
And if you say that white people got to fix racism.
All right, let me ask you a question. How do black people fix it?
You really want my answer? I don't think I can give you my answer on the air. I don't think I can share my answer on the air.
Come on, how do black people fix it? If white people don't need to fix it, how do black people fix racism? Because I would before you answer, I would throw out that black people have been trying to fix racism for 400 years.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
Just like they've been trying to fix the school just for 4 years, right?
Now, see, why you gotta go? See, why you gotta go
I'm
there?
just saying.
Okay, message sent, sir. Okay.
I'm just saying, player. I'm just saying.
So if black people have not been successful in fixing racism,
But
for
how
400
does a
years.
fix? So okay, the thing is for me, man, is I need content. I need context. I need all this different stuff because, you know, if you're gonna do something, right? If you typical, give you a great example. If you're gonna build a house, you gotta have a set of plans first, right? You gotta know what you're gonna build, right? If you're gonna build a plan for racism, then you first have to identify how that looks to build a plan for it.
Well, we know how it looks.
I've never seen that plan built before anywhere. That's why I say you talking to me about some stuff that ain't real if you ain't got no plan. People always tell you what, if you got an idea, you ain't got no plan, you just got a good idea, right? Okay, so if you ain't got no plan, it's just an idea. I ain't never seen a black plan to address racism.
Plan to work and work to plan. Well, that was an attempt. That was the civil rights movement.
That wasn't a plan to address racism. That was a plan for segregation. That's two totally different things. That's two totally different things.
Isn't segregation a part of racism?
Yeah, but it's a very small part of racism. Because I can sit with you all day and you can still hate my black butt.
True.
Right? And
I'm kind of getting that feeling right now, but I'm kind of tapping down. I'm gonna be okay though. Okay, I'm gonna be okay.
I hope you better tomorrow.
I'm trying.
And you dirty, by the way. I just realized what you. I just realized. You dirty. Yeah, exactly. You dirty motherfucker. Yeah, I just got it.
What?
Oh.
What?
No, that's not the case at all. That is not the case at all.
What?
I just got what you said. We'll talk about that after the show, player. We'll talk about that in exactly 48 minutes, player. You think you slick, don't you? You think you smooth as snot?
I've been doing this for a long time. I'm just saying, but no, I understand what you're saying. But here's the thing, and I totally agree with you. And I think we can all go back and look at the failures of the civil rights movement. I think Malcolm was on point, but the difference between Malcolm and Martin is that Martin had the numbers. Okay.
The numbers in respect to what?
As far as people were concerned. Okay.
Yeah, because everybody wanted to be a part of something.
Well, but also everybody.
I ain't fucking my ass whooped by nobody.
Well,
no time, nowhere, no how.
Okay.
And if back then, if I was growing up back then, I'm glad I wasn't growing up back then. Cause if I'm gonna die, I'm taking at least one of y'all with me.
I agree.
I'm gonna get at least one of y'all.
Yeah.
Me too. Hopefully I can get two. But I'm getting at least one of y'all. And it wouldn't be no way in the hell I'm doing no peaceful protests.
Well,
ain't nothing about my protest.
See, you're on the Malcolm side.
I'm all the way.
Okay.
I'm all the way on the Malcolm side.
Right, and so am I.
I'm bringing all my guns.
Right, I'm on the Malcolm side.
I ain't got none peaceful.
But therein was the dilemma. Here's when I talk to people who are anti Martin Luther King, I always tell them that if it wasn't for Martin Luther King, then we would have had another war.
This just made me think about something. Did you watch Birth of a Nation with remember Birth of a Nation?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Which one?
The second one.
With
the
about Nat Nat Turner.
The black one.
Okay.
So
I still hate he named that movie.
Remember when I love it. When he went to talk to the slaves, and he was standing there looking at them, and they took him in to talk to this dude who wouldn't eat, and they pulled his teeth out of his mouth, right? Okay. The brother came back out there, and he went off, right? Remember that, right? That made me think about where we are right now, right? Now, that brother went through enough of that. He was a preacher. He just said, you know what? I just can't do this no more. But
he had an epiphany.
Right, but they didn't hear him. They didn't hear him till he started killing white folks. That make people change the way they think. You with me?
Oh, I'm really with you.
Because, people say, well, Robert, why don't you go to one of them white supremacist things? See, I ain't that dude. I'm not finna be up in there. Dude gonna be calling me a nigga, saying nothing crazy to me. I'm finna hit you in your damn mouth. When you finna be on one of us finna be on the ground. One of us gonna end up hurt. Because I ain't playing them games with you, right? Now, I think that mentality has to be taken by more folk.
I agree.
Because at some point, conversation is good, but at some point you gotta put them hands in the air.
You have to change your tactics.
You gotta change your tactic, player. Oh, you have to change your approach. Because you can't always, again, I can't go to those things. Because you're not gonna kick me. You know, I often watch the thing from Central High 1957. And I just think to myself, dude, if that was me walking to school and y'all was doing that, I'd never made the Central. I'd have been dead and I'd have got at least 2 of them.
Well, I've often said, it's easy in hindsight to say what you'd say, but I'm sorry, but had I lived during Nat Turner's time, my ancestors would not have made it here, because out of my lineage would have ended then, because I was gonna take some of them with me.
Man,
I believe in my soul that that's the type of person that I was, that I would be if I was in that time. And see, the thing is, we're talking about Malcolm, and I still have a sweatshirt that I wear, but it's too little now. But it had a picture of Malcolm, and he was standing, peeping out the window with the rifle. We've all seen that iconic photo. And it says, "You get your freedom by letting your enemy know that you're willing to do anything to be free. Then and only then will you be free." Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to, quote unquote, kill some people. But your enemy has got to understand that I mean business. And right now, white America, supremacist, this racism doesn't think we mean business. In fact, it has never thought we meant business, because we have been led to some extent by pacifists, as opposed to people who are willing to say, here's my classic example, and I've used this over and over again. If black people decided today that, hey, my kid is not going to play Saturday in that college football game, not even that they won't play, if they just threaten it,
Right.
it would change what's going on overnight, you see.
Yeah.
So the problem is not necessarily white people, it's black people not willing to stand up for what they are lawfully owed. Because until we stand up, we don't need to be having, Cory Booker wants to have a committee about reparations. Dude, we don't need a committee about reparations. There's been study after study to prove that reparations are needed and must be done. I read a story, remember the story about the lady who got reparations in the 1800s? $2,500? So we know there's precedent that has already been set in this country. So until we as black people dare to say we're not going to take that anymore and mean it, and use the resources that we have, which are our children, to change this process, it's going to continue. So, yeah, racism is a white man's problem. But we can make them change, because the only thing that they understand are dollar bills. I use the analogy all the time, worshiping the gods of a beaten enemy. Okay? And what I mean by that is, we had went through all that stuff, and then once we started worshiping the almighty dollar, all of our morals and values changed. We started trying to echo their morals and values. That's what's destroying us. The other aspect of it, and I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, but your religion. You heard me yesterday. Do I need to go back and read the Jehovah's Witness text? Y'all heard me read that, where they believe that black people were cursed. That ignorance. When in fact, those people in Africa were black, period. There were no white people there during that time. None whatsoever. And there are plenty of evidence to prove that. Do you know what the first signs of leprosy is? Here's one simple. The reason that they would send people off when they first see them with leprosy, you know how they saw it?
No.
Leprosy's first things that it does to you is bleach your skin. You have started having white patches on your skin.
The Michael Jackson disease.
Well, No, well, that's vitiligo, allegedly. Okay? But my point being is that that's the first signs of leprosy. So if you're black, you're going to start getting white splotches. The first thing you're going to say is, hey, you got leprosy. You got to be exiled. If you're white, you never see those signs. I'm just saying. They talk about Moses in the Bible. Moses, they tell you. Who did Moses marry? Moses married an Ethiopian woman. Her name was Keturah.
You like black women, didn't you? They said once you go black, you never go back.
No, he wasn't interracially marrying. Sorry. I'm just saying. But anyway, but that's my point, is that our religious values, everything that has been put in black people have been put in our minds by someone else, even to hate us. Even they psychologically reinforce. You know, part of the reason we don't shop at black businesses? Because we're afraid that we're going to get killed. You know how they psychologically reinforce that? Elaine, Arkansas. Ocoee, Florida. Rosewood. The Black Wall Street in Tulsa. They psychologically reinforce that if you go into black business or if you support a black business, we're going to kill you. We're going to destroy your town. That attitude has been reinforced for generations, and that's part of the reason that we don't support black businesses. This is a mind thing, brothers and sisters. It has nothing to do with what someone... This is, how do they control so many people? How do black people, when someone is obviously telling you he's a racist, and then you'll get that ignorant black person, well, you know, he's not really racist. Or you say, oh, well, you know, Joan Adcock, she got us some paint on our building down here in the East End. She's not really racist. That's a mind thing. And until we as black people understand that, I mean, this whole thing about Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe apologizes for tweeting about black folks having more enthusiasm about Popeye's chicken than voting. Where is she wrong on that? Exactly. She isn't. But black people getting all up in their feelings by saying, oh, she needs to apologize. No, she doesn't. You need to take what she said and say, wait a minute, is there merit here? See, you can't affect me if you say something about me and there's no merit. But what you say about me, if there's some truth, then I can examine your statement and make changes, not criticize you. So you upset, look, $23 million of free advertising was given to Popeyes over the last 5 days. $23 million of free advertising, and all of that came from black folks. You had black folks fighting. I saw a video yesterday where this brother was upset they ran out of a damn chicken sandwich, and he was at the drive-in window, and he was fighting these people through the drive-in window. Are you serious? And you mad at Janelle Monáe about speaking truth? That's part of the problem in the black community. We used to speak truth. Now we don't give a damn about truth. We just want to be concerned about, oh, did he hurt my feelings? Well, look, typically you can't hurt my feelings if it ain't true.
And maybe that's why the king sold off the black folks. So that's why he probably sold the bad black folks, and that's why they're all over here. Ain't nothing them in Africa. You think so? I'm just asking. I don't know. Just food for thought, Blake. Food for thought.
No, Robert, that's not correct.
Not correct? No. What's problematic for me here I was told I need to quit using problematic. Dave, what bothers me about what you're talking about right now? We don't have a plan.
I agree.
We don't have a plan.
I agree.
Anything.
I agree.
Not one damn thing. And I'll tell you something really interesting. I met with a guy today who was talking about...
But before you go there, let me just say this. You're right, we don't have a plan. And it's sad that we have the infrastructure to plan. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We have the infrastructure to plan. We just have the wrong people ahead of that infrastructure. You get what I'm saying? I don't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
So I'm going to tell you something really interesting, right? So I had a conversation this morning with this gentleman who wanted to talk about. He works for a nonprofit. And he wanted to ask me he wanted to pick my brain about some stuff that he wanted to pick my brain, just have a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Probably didn't take him long, did it?
not long at all. So,
I'm done.
what I thought was interesting is that he was saying we want to work on the financial gap, the financial inequity in the black community. But then he asked me to give him the information that we had gathered. So,
I got a question.
what an oxymoron, right?
Right? Was he?
I'm not gonna say. But the point that what troubles me.
Did the character from Golden Girls show up?
But what troubles me
You're not
is
answering the question, sir.
the irony behind that, right? You want to talk to me about wealth, about creating generational wealth for black folks, but then you want me to give you. Am I not black?
I love Betty White. She's funny.
Am I not black? I'm sitting there looking at him like, you don't lost your damn mind, ain't you? But hey, we'd really like you to give me. I'd really like you to give me your research. Tell me about how you're doing your thing. Tell me how you're structuring your deal. Why would I do that? Why would I give you my intellectual property? Why would I do that?
Bingo.
I mean, Jesus.
You know why you would do that?
Wow.
Because he's went to other people and they've done that and not understand what IP is all about.
Well, not gonna happen.
You know, and see, and that's the point.
I'm no longer an advocate. I used to get that stuff away because my thing was, if you could get it done, get it done.
But
now I ain't giving it away. You want it, you gotta pay for it.
Well, that's true.
It ain't free,
Right?
player.
It's like when I go speak. Hey, you need to break bread. You taking up collection? But we want you to come and donate your time. You selling tickets?
I need a honorary.
You know, I look,
I ain't gonna speak to nobody. No, I ain't gonna speak to no group, so you ain't gotta worry.
I'm
never
just
worry
saying.
about paying me for that, because that ain't gonna never
you
happen.
know, I start at 1,500.
I ain't gonna do it. People ask me to come do something. I'm not doing it. I don't like being in front of groups. So
Oh, I love it. It's almost like a drug to be able to see people
Not my thing. I'll do
To
the
be
radio
able to-
because I'm looking at you.
hang on your every word, and you can see them swing back and forth and give you that.
You know,
It's just
when I run for office,
it's better than
the thing I cringed.
Eating a
The thing
popsicle.
I hated more was when it came time to go do these public forums. I hated those. Excuse me, because I hate being in front of people and having conversations. That irritates the hell out of me. And so,
well, but I think you make an excellent point. Is that at some point that if we don't sit down and make a plan, not a plan that we can publicize to the media. I think our biggest downfall in the black community is we'll get together all these scholars and then we write up these plans of action and then we call the media. Let's get the media involved. Let's get the media involved. That's almost like me playing you in a football game and I give you my game plan.
no, we go to the huddle and call the play. We're gonna do a pass play.
Exactly.
We walk to the line and say, "Hey y'all, we finna do a pass play.
No,
We're gonna throw it today.
Number 89 over there. We throwing it to him.
today.
You know,
Be looking for it."
and that's what we in our community have been guilty of for decades. And at some point, look, I get a lot of this too. Look, I ain't gonna lie. I look good, but I'm 58 years old, folks, with a bad back problem. I can't do all that running and stuff. We need to empower these young people and say, hey, look, here's what we're gonna do. Let's get it done. That's the only way it's gonna be done. Now, look, I have more years behind me than I have ahead of me. I understand that. I admit that. Now, if I'm lucky, my mom lived. She's 94 years old. She's still about to have another birthday. Now, if I'm lucky, I can get some more. But as far as an active participant, the best I can do is sit here and run my mouth. Okay?
Right.
What we need young people to do, like you, Markel, who's listening, to get involved, man. Stop sitting on the sideline and being pessimistic. Look, there are knowledgeable people out here who will help you. You all have got to make a commitment to wanting to change. because at least the people in the 60s, although it didn't turn out the way they wanted or they were ill-informed of how they should go about it, at least they did something. You see, what is happening now, there's been 2 generations that have passed, and young black people have done nothing to affect their, here's what they typically do. It's your fault. Y'all didn't fight hard enough. Dude, yeah, we fought hard enough. At some point, y'all got to take up that mantle. So, we do need a plan. We do need a plan to solve this problem. And it can't be brought to us by some rich white guy from a Chamber of Commerce. He doesn't live in my neighborhood. He doesn't know the hardships of my neighborhood, what my friends and relatives have had to go through to even just continue to exist. This plan needs to be for us, by us. And we need preachers to be talking about this in Sunday school. We need preachers talking about it. This should be part of your sermons about black empowerment. This whole thing about this Popeyes has bothered me to no end, because I just wonder if there's a black business on a Sunday afternoon. All you got to do, you don't even have to do it every Sunday. All you have to do is say, look, this Sunday, we going to so-and-so business. It's black owned. Let me just, I know Sims is closed on Sunday, but we going to Sims on Sunday. That's all you got to do. And then the next Sunday, or during the week, or when you got to have an air conditioner fixed, or someone comes to you and say, Pastor, I'm looking for some car insurance. You ought to have just like they had a green book back in the day to go to places that was safe for black people. Every leader, whether you're political, whether you are spiritual, or whether you just a self-appointed leader, and we got a few of those here, I ain't gonna call no names, you ought to have a Rolodex on your desk with black-owned businesses. It should run the gamut, from restaurants to plumbers to car repair. It should run the gamut. So when someone comes to your desk and says, hey, Pastor, or hey, Brother Coleman, or hey, Advocate Robert, I'm sorry, former Advocate Robert turned capitalist, I'm looking for a black so-and-so, where can I go? All Robert needs to do is pop open that Rolodex. Hey, man, here are 3 names for you. And here's the deal. If they don't give you good service, call me back. And then when they call you back and say, hey, man, Rob, I went to so-and-so, he gave me bad service. Then you know what Rob does? Rob picks up the phone and say, hey, man, I'm sending my people over there to give you, for your business, to make you money, and you giving them bad service. What's up with that? Now that black business has 2 ways to go. He could say, I apologize, please send them back to me and I'll take care of them. Or he could say, I don't know what you're talking about, you can get out, I run my business the way I want to run my business. Then you don't send them back to that business. That's how it ought to be. If we're talking about policing our own communities, then that has to extend to our businesses as well. It just has to. But it amazed me how people were waiting hours in a line for a chicken sandwich, and will go in a black business and be upset about poor service. Well, I know for a fact you get poor service in white businesses all the time. I eat out a lot. And I know for a fact that I chastise my waiters often when they give me bad service. And I'll let them know that, look, dude, I work from the back of the house to the front of the house. And just because you see me as a black person, I demand good service. And if you don't give it to me, you don't get tipped. I dare you. And then if you get an attitude, you don't get 15%. I want to talk to you. Send your manager out here. That's what we got to do, man. We got to start planning this thing. Like you say, Robert, you got to plan the work and work the plan.
Yeah, but you got to have one first.
Well, again, we got to sit down and start thinking about a plan. I would love for black leaders in this city to call a meeting, not publicly. Just say, pick up the phone and call your dog. Send them an email, say, man, look, Friday night, we having a meeting. Don't just invite 1 or 2 people. Don't spread the word. We having a meeting. And once a month, we have that meeting. We don't have to tell anybody. And after about a month or 2, we ought to have a plan of action of what we want to address in the city of Little Rock. I already know a couple of them. Economic deprivation, south of 630. That ought to be the main plan, because nothing is going to grow without economics. Then the school system. What are we going to do about the school system? Those are 2 right there. And how do we go about it? Just don't say, hey, here's a bullet point, the school system, economic deprivation. No, we need a plan of action. How are we going to address those issues? How are we as a community going to address it? Not the governor, not the white people. I'm talking about us. Because after the Popeyes incident, I know you can do it now. That proved it. You gave Popeyes $23 million of free advertising. Okay? So don't tell me you can't support a black business. Don't tell me you can't get in your car and wait. Don't tell me you can't register to vote and then go vote. That's what Janelle Monáe is talking about. And y'all want to get an attitude with this sister? Man, y'all need to go kick rocks. And I don't care if you're mad at me.
Yeah, that's obvious.
Y'all need to go kick rocks. Come on, man. What's wrong with us? Are we that stupid?
I don't think we're stupid.
Well, what? You tell me, Robert. You always trying to defend people.
Jesus.
You tell me what the problem is. I'm tired of this.
Jesus.
Aren't y'all tired of living in racism and bigotry? Well, you can fix it with your dollars.
Jesus.
You can fix it by stop sending your kids to these white schools.
I'm not even going to comment now.
Golly. I've seen the enemy and he's weak.
I'm not going to say that now.
Why not? I'm off my soapbox now. I'm sorry.
No, please stay up there.
No, I was getting a little dizzy. I need to go eat a Popeye's chicken sandwich. 855.
Jesus.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just, that. So here's another example. So check this out. I want to talk about this real fast before we leave. We got a few more minutes. New study prompts questions about diabetes and obesity within black churches.
I just thought only obese people went to church. That's what I thought.
Now there.
Are they saying something else? I'm just kidding, people. Don't even start texting. It's a joke. Jesus, you don't have no humor.
Diabetes and obesity rates could possibly have a correlation with church going among African Americans, a new study suggests. Let me see how old this article is. So this article is new. In fact, it was just published yesterday. All right. The findings of a Duke University study released last month in the Journal of Religion and Health highlight 2 main conclusions. Black Americans who are Baptists are more likely to have diabetes than those who are Catholic or Presbyterian, and black men who go to church 5 or more times a week are 3 times more likely to be obese than those who seldom or rarely attend.
That's why I'm so happy.
There are some brothers out there. See, I told you, that's why I ain't going to nobody's church. You ain't putting no 30 pounds on me.
That's why I'm so healthy. I did not know. Thank you, Dad.
Researchers of the study make clear that practicing religion does not lead to diabetes or obesity, but a correlation has been found among blacks. Keisha L. Bentley Edwards, Associate Director of Research and Director of Health Equity Working Group at the Cook Center, states more research is needed to detail the exact reason the denomination and health conditions are linked. The AJC, by the way, this is the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. That's a white paper, so y'all can say this is real. Reveals there are often comparisons between black and white Christians, but not often cross-examinations of those who are different denominations or are within the same denomination, but at varying levels of involvement. We wanted to look at nuances between the black church and not just treat the black church as a monolith with no diversity within it. I thought that was an interesting piece where they took black people who were Baptist, Catholic, and Presbyterian of other faiths. And it looks like the black people that are Baptist, according to this study, are more likely to be diabetic and obese.
Well, of course you're not going to have fat men being Catholic, because who the priest going to rape?
Oh, gosh. Alrighty. And that logic comes from Robert Webb.
Well, of course it is, Dave.
What about Presbyterians?
Presbyterians don't count. I don't think they're having sex with their boys the same way the Catholics are. I think Catholics are doing a little bit more.
Okay, so I'm trying to have let's see, Stephanie Clay. Hey, Stephanie. Stephanie says we are happy.
Who is happy?
I'm assuming she means Christians. I mean, that's fine if you're happy, but this is a more interesting look. See, Sister Sally that's working back in the kitchen, she's throwing too much sugar in that sweet potato pie. That's what the problem is. Or Sister Johnson, she done put too much bacon in them beans and them greens. I think it's an interesting study. Now, the reason the men are getting fatter, you know why? Because them men going to church.
Okay, all you Catholic folks, stop! Stop!
I do what's coming.
Stop! It ain't my fault y'all priests raping folks. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That ain't got nothing to do with me. If he wasn't raping folks, I couldn't make the joke, right?
That's right.
So stop. Y'all need to call y'all synagogues or whatever they call them. Y'all parishes.
Yeah, the parishes.
And tell them to quit banging little boys. That's why they keep them healthy over there, Dave. Y'all need to quit texting me. If I get another text, I swear to God. And y'all talking about it's not funny. That's horrible. Hey, it ain't my fault that they doing it. It's not like I'm lying.
Hey, right. What does he say that's wrong? They are.
Nah, they knocking them back over there.
You know.
Y'all should let them get married. That's what y'all should be. What y'all should be doing is y'all should be calling the Grand Wizard. I'm sorry, the Grand Master. I'm sorry, the Grand Poobah, whoever he is, and say, hey, let these dudes get married. Let these dudes get married so they can leave these little boys alone.
Yo, man, here's a shovel.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, man. I just think there is a correlation between the health. You know, Baptist churches, they always eating. They always going out to eat. Look, if you're going out to eat a lot, you know you are ingesting a lot more calories than you would be if you were at home. Remember when we were growing up, when we left church, we were usually going over somebody's house to eat dinner. It was either over Mama Sarah's house, my aunt's house, either at our house. We would go, so the food, think about it, when we were growing up, we didn't have a lot of obese kids. You had maybe one, maybe two, but now they're everywhere. That's because these kids are living on a diet of fast food, McDonald's, restaurant food that's high in caloric intake. So to some extent, and man, Lord, what's the name of the buffet over there in North Little Rock? What's the one over there? Don't even be off of it's not, what is the name of that buffet over there in North Little Rock off the freeway, off of Wharton Road? Golden Corral. Man, don't be over there around 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah. I'm telling you, dude, you're going to get cut. And most of them are us. Now, think about it. Some people walk up in there, Golden Corral. I think I've eaten there once. I think I paid $14.99. Okay? There were 6 adults. Okay? Let's just round that up to $15. Okay? That's almost $100 that we paid in food. Think about it, had we taken that $100, went to the store and bought food, we could have eaten for 2 days. That's the problem. So maybe y'all need to quit going to them Baptist churches. Let's see, a good friend of mine, former Tiger. By the way, Seal, did you listen to the broadcast Saturday? Sly says, I'm Baptist and 100 pounds overweight since college. Just finished off one of those Sonic hot dogs and a piece of German chocolate cake. However, I have lost 25 pounds.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, let's see. Sil said they left church Sunday and went to the zoo and War Memorial Park. So there you go. You got to change your diet. You got to change your attitudes about food, folks. And then what's great about it, when we were eating and going home after church to eat dinner with the family, guess what? That was family time.
You're still not eating healthy.
Well, we were eating healthy.
Well, you got to remember, too, during that time, Dave, when you grew up, y'all didn't have TV, and y'all didn't have all those modern conveniences we now have. So y'all going home to eat food. That was cool, man. Because more than likely, y'all cook y'all food the night before because y'all had to cook it outside on the hot griddle. So I can get all that, man. I mean, because y'all did like they did the Westerns, right? Y'all had like this big old, this big old kettle that y'all cooked all the food in. So y'all cooked the food the night before. Then,
it was called stew.
Yeah, y'all cooked goulash.
Yeah, there you go. Succotash. That was cute, Robert.
Ooh, Jesus.
But I just thought that was an interesting article. By the way, Benton County Sheriff's deputy has been fired for sexual harassment. But you know what he needs? You know what? I wonder if the union is going to try to fight for his job back.
Of course they are. Okay, Catholic people, listen. Listen. Listen to me very carefully. I'm not apologizing for what I said. It is the truth. Y'all just stop texting me. And let me say this. Yes, I know white people and black people are Catholic. It don't matter. They raped black dudes too.
Yes, they did.
They were not racist. That's the only thing I can say about the Catholic Church. Their priests are not racist in who they choose to molest.
Exactly.
They don't discriminate. So hey, listen, guys, I don't apologize. It's true. I can't apologize for something that's true. But listen, I know I have white friends and black friends who are Catholic. Stop texting.
Oh gosh.
It was a joke. Jesus.
Well, I hate to say it, but there was a lot of fact in that joke. I'm just saying.
There's a lot of truth in that joke, man.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not my fault. Like Dave Chappelle said, I can't apologize for the truth.
Yeah. So
I can't apologize for the truth. Seriously, y'all, come on now. These folks is going crazy. See, I see Catholics. I wish y'all did this kind of texting when they was molesting boys. I wish y'all was sending these kind of texts to the dice. I can't even say it.
The diocese.
Say it, Dave.
The diocese.
I wish y'all was sending these kind of texts to them. Y'all texting me like I touched a little boy or something. Like I was a priest and I touched him somewhere.
All right, so here's another story.
Really, y'all boycott? Y'all boycott? Y'all hilarious.
See what you done done?
Y'all hilarious.
See what you done done?
It's hilarious. I got 3 texts in. We're going to boycott. Okay, y'all boycott. What y'all boycott first? I didn't know what y'all boycott first. Y'all boycott the Catholic Church? Because I ain't did. Boycott.
You're going to have to go and have holy water sprinkled on you.
Oh, Jesus.
And go in that little phone booth and say, "Forgive me, Father, I have sinned."
When's the last time you really gave up a confession, Dave? Father, I want to make a confession real quick. I cracked a joke on the radio show about priests tapping little boys, and I want to apologize because I offended some of your parishioners. And I just need your parishioners to know that I do not condone tapping little boys, even though the Catholic Church does, and their members do. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Well, none of them have went to jail.
Oh, everybody's texting me ain't done with me. Oh my God, how can y'all be done with me? How can y'all be done with me? Come on, y'all. Really, y'all that sensitive? White folks and black folks alike, y'all take y'all religion seriously. Y'all really take y'all religion seriously. I got 4 texts saying they done with me.
Well, let me ask you
4
something.
Catholic, 2 white and 2 black.
Let me ask you something. If that was a black religion that was tapping little boys to the extent that the Catholic Church was.
Oh, one of these Catholics said, they told me to say, make sure I say how the Baptist preachers be tapping them women too. But they tapping grown women. They ain't tapping little boys.
Exactly. That we know of.
That we know of.
We need to put a qualifier on that. Okay.
That we know of.
But we know for a fact what the Catholic Church has done.
But let me say to my friends, I don't want y'all to stop listening to the show. I love all Catholics. Some of my best friends are Catholic. Okay, I gotta stop. No, seriously.
Here's
Some of my
the
best friends
shovel.
are Catholic. Some of my best friends is Catholic. So y'all don't stop listening to the show. We love that. We love Catholics. And we love y'all priests. And we even love the kids that y'all preach for less. So please don't stop listening. Please.
Poor Robert. One other note: New Jersey cop is facing up to 40 years for a federal charge, including using excessive force. Here's what he said. The cop, by the way, his name is Officer Frank Toledo. The U.S. Attorney's Office and law enforcement partners remain committed to identifying and prosecuting corrupt police officers who violate the civil rights of people. That's what they're saying. So here's basically what he said.
Okay.
I beat that nigger like he owed me money.
What? That's what the white dude said?
Yes.
Put him in a jail cell with a couple of brothers and say, hey man, anybody in here owe you money?
He says, yo, what the F are you doing? I'm trying to go mango hunting.
What's
Let's
the
go.
grapevine day?
The grapevine? I don't know.
They said they're going up to the grapevine. Bring me some wine back then. What's the grapevine?
I don't know, man. That's. I just can't believe you just offended our listeners like that. You really need to apologize. You need to write a letter.
To who?
To.
Hey man, hold on. Eddie Long, really?
What about?
They talking about Eddie Long? They gonna bring up one Baptist preacher. I can give you 500 priests that have molested kids, and y'all got one Baptist preacher
All around
the world. And y'all coming back with, but hold on, this one right here. Hold on.
You don't want to start that fight.
Clearly, you're not up to speed. The Baptist church is in the mix on pedophiles. It's about abuse and power. That is not unique to Catholic. Go away! They said, oh, look it up on YouTube. Okay.
Look what up on YouTube.
I'm going to look up this thing and see what it is.
Look what up.
I gotta see what this grapevine crap is.
Sylvester says, and by the way, my friend Sylvester is a minister. He says there are just as many black Baptist preachers who are pedophiles, sickos. Look, I would agree. And there are a whole lot of black deacons that's pedophiles and sickos.
Listen, y'all, it's a joke. Jesus.
See, that's why you should guard your words wisely.
Now, I ain't apologizing now.
Well, why don't you apologize? You need to do a Janelle Monáe.
Okay, you want to apologize? Okay,
You need
let me
to-
apologize. I want to apologize because I want to apologize to all the Catholics because y'all priests rape little boys. I want to apologize to y'all for that. I hope it gets better. I hope they stop raping little boys. Do y'all forgive me? Can I get some text to know if y'all forgive me or not? Oh, it's a girl show. Okay. We ain't giving no props to no other show.
Oh, that hurt.
Well, I apologize. I apologize. What are they gonna apology?
What are they saying?
I haven't got any feedback yet. That may be a good thing.
No word is sometimes a good
That's a
word.
good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah.
So you can go with that. I hope you feel better.
I do, man. I feel so much better. You know what? If you just don't offend a group of people every day, it just seems like your day just don't go right. I just hope there ain't a whole bunch of Catholics outside waiting on someone to walk out today.
I'm waiting on you, dog. I'm a thing. What do you do with the cross on your heart?
We need to get JC sing the song.
Well, he ain't Catholic.
Dave, why you do that, man? I was finna come in and have him give me blessing.
No.
I was finna have him come in and give me forgiveness.
No, dog. It's gonna take more than JC for you. I'm just saying,
Come in and give me forgiveness.
you got a ways to go.
Hey, listen, to all my Catholic friends, let me tell y'all something. Man. I love y'all. And can we all just get along?
Man, I used to love Catholic girls. See, you are just bad. Where did that come from? I'm just.
Okay, listen, I know y'all guys daughters and stuff. I am kidding.
I'm just.
Jesus.
My name's Bennett. I ain't in it, but I did used to love me some Catholic girls. I'm just gonna say Saint Bartholomew. Oh Lord, have mercy.
Saint Bartholomew had it going on. It is not a joke. It is a serious offense for anyone to rape anyone. You should not joke about one group. They are all wrong. So if I joked about, I can't believe that. So if I joked about priests raping, other priests, that would be okay, I guess. But because y'all priests rape little boys, it's not funny. But I understand that. I won't say anything else about y'all priests raping little boys. I won't even say anything about Catholic priests raping anybody. This will be the last time I ever say anything about it. So after this show, I will never ever mention Catholic priests raping little boys again. After the show today, I will never say anything about Catholic boys raping little altar boys. I won't say it ever again. Okay, y'all, we cool? I just apologize.
Sylvester says the Catholics have been put on blast. Baptists will forgive a child molester and then place him or her over the children's ministry. I don't understand that.
That is the truth.
But he's, you know, I hate to say it, but there is a lot of abuse that goes on throughout the church.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fact. It's just that, you know, I think we were. I'm trying to be kind here, but let me just put it like this: I think people were a fool to believe that, and I know there have been instances, but the bottom line is you can't fight Mother Nature, okay? And we were fools to believe, or anyone was fools to believe, that grown men around women, because there have been other stories of the priests and the nuns, you know, so.
Well, he wasn't raping the nuns, he was just tagging them, so that's different.
But I'm just saying, it's just, it really made no sense at all that they could never marry. You know, it was.
Let some folks get married, man.
It just doesn't make any sense to me, you know, but who am I to, I mean, that's you all's religion. That's how y'all go about it.
Spare our boys, get a nun.
See, that's sexist right there. Because if a nun is raping a little boy, that's just as bad.
No, it's not.
See? Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay. I'm
Dave, now you know that when we was in school, we used to have fantasies about our teacher. Oh, I wish she would kiss me. Oh my goodness. I wonder how she looked.
I never had those.
Without that.
Nope.
Yeah. That's every boy's dream.
No, I am not.
Every boy's
No,
dream.
I am not thinking about Miss Cox. I am not.
Really? See?
I mean, I'm not thinking about that.
That's
I'm
right.
not-
Yeah, you thinking about it. It's every boy's dream to, you know, do the thing.
That don't make it right, Robert.
But I ain't gonna, I tell you this much. I'm gonna make sure she don't get caught. I'm not telling nobody. Yes, ma'am. Can I have one more time, please? Boys and men are different than women, man. Because I want you to take advantage of me. I'm asking for it. I'm begging you. Please take advantage of me.
No.
I know I'm only 16. I'm young, but I'm ready. I'm ready.
You may no.
You may be young, but you ready. I tell them again, Keith Sweat. You may be young, but you're ready, player. So you know, for boys, man, that's like our dream to get one of your teachers or somebody older, the pastor's wife, whoever you get your hands on. That's like a dream for us, man. We have these crushes, and we like, yeah, it's gonna go down. All she gotta do is say the wrong thing. We be like, yep. I heard you, Dave. What'd you say? You know it's true, Dave. Okay, that's cool.
This show is over.
That's cool, Dave.
Go.
You gonna be a coward today, Dave? That's cool.
Go. Because I have some friends who had mothers that listen to the show, and some fine mamas too. And I'm just not gonna say anything.
If you're your friend's mom, you'd be like, oh, she.
I'm just not gonna say anything. But anyway, we gotta go. Say your thing, man.
Okay, y'all. I know not being able to marry has nothing to do with priests and pedophiles. Read a book. Well, Jesus, y'all rude, man. Y'all are so rude. Catholic people, y'all the rudest. All right, hey, spend money on community. Stop this. Stop laughing. Spend money on community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
And since we were talking about the great Malcolm X, let me end on another great quote by the great one. This is the media, an irresponsible media. It will make the criminal look like he's the victim and make the victim look like he's the criminal. If you aren't careful, the media will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. This sort of propaganda tactic that I would call psychological warfare. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. We'll be back tomorrow.
Peace. How many we had listened? Why they don't give us an overview of how many we had listened?
We can go back and pull the data. That's one thing about this, man. We can go back and pull this data.
Oh, we couldn't do that before, right?
No, we couldn't do it on the other one, but we can on this one. So if I go here, now this gives us a 48-hour overview.
Okay, is that all shows or just our show?
It peaks based on time.
45 listeners at 4 p.m.
So it peaks based on time. So as you can see, that's 10 a.m. Let's see, that's 4. And we can make it even, I'm gonna have to see, let's look at yesterday. So that's what's showing right now, it's yesterday.
Look, we had a nice.
See, there's a, okay, that's 12 a.m. So about right in here, that's 9. So this is where we're sitting right now. And you can get it more granular. You can make it per day. But I've got to go in here and start playing with it again and see. So this gives the length of time they listen.
We're over there on the other side?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
So, well, that's what it's saying right here is the length of time that they listen.
Gotcha.
Okay. And this is just for recent. Let's see. Let me see what this one is. And that's just the log. But when I looked earlier, we were up to, I think we got up to like 20. What is this right here? And that's at 4 p.m. on a day. That's 45. That's at 2 p.m. So right here, see where this is right here?
Yeah.
That's 21 listeners. So that's at the near the end of our show.
Today?
2 days ago. This is a 48-hour window.
Okay.
So today is Thursday, so this would have been Tuesday. So that's 21 right there. Let's see if it'll let me. It won't let me zoom in on that. But that's 21 right. That's 21 right there. So if they're listening at the end of the show, that means that they were listening.
Yeah, in the beginning.
At the beginning, at least.
Well, we lose some at 1 o'clock. We lose a few.
Yo, we get the most at 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.